Happy Wisdom Wednesday, everyone. So, book of the week this week stems from a question that I got on LinkedIn, which is, how do you read people? Now, that starts to answer, or at least go into the area of body language. And this book, What Every Body is Saying by Joe Navarro, addresses that. Joe Navarro was a former FBI agent. He wrote this book with a lot of pictures that teach you about how to read people's body language. Now, my question to you is, what part of the body is the most honest, the one that tells you the most about what somebody's thinking or feeling? Well, believe it or not, it is the feet and the legs. And here's the reason why. You see, thousands of years ago, before we evolved our neocortex and our midbrains, back here we just had a brainstem, or primitive brain, aka the lizard brain. And that part of the brain focuses on 4 F's of survival: feeding, fighting, fleeing, and fornication. And the reason why our brain was hooked up immediately to send those impulses to our feet and legs is because it needed to communicate immediately when to take those actions, because that was critical when it came to survival and passing on to our genes. Now, thousands of years later, evolution has happened. This is still intact. And if you've watched some of my other videos, from my standpoint as a marketer, and I guess a psychologist by hobby, a lot of people's motivations can be tracked to those 4 F's. So here are a few tips on how you can read people better based on their legs and their feet, whether it's sales, or you're speaking to your spouse and you're trying to understand them better, or you're in a negotiation. Let's start at the chair first. So when you're dealing with somebody in a chair, let's address a few things that can tell you a little bit about whether they're happy. If they're happy, people generally get happy feet, right? They bounce their legs up and down. And whether they're walking or in a chair, our feet defy gravity when we're happy, right? Now, if you start to speak to somebody and they are very insecure and uncomfortable, they will usually brace their ankles like this. Now, don't get this confused with this. This is a lot more relaxed. This is with friends, right? This is, I'm bracing myself. You can also see that here when they push their feet out and they're bracing their ankles against the legs of the chair. And when it comes to crossing the feet, if you're speaking to somebody and they like what you're saying, they feel comfortable with you, they feel open, they're going to cross their legs towards you. Right? This is open. Now, if you say something that they don't like, that makes them uncomfortable, they're going to uncross their legs and they'll do this. Now they've created a barrier between them and you. Okay? Now, for a lot of salespeople, the issue that salespeople have is that don't know when to shut up. So, when your prospect does this with their feet, if you can somehow see their feet, or at least pay attention to what they're doing, it is an indication that they are ready to move on. Clasping of the knee, because it's preparing them to push up and get out of the chair. If they get their feet in a runner's position, which means usually they might lean at the edge of their chair and they might lift their feet up like this, like a runner's stance in track, that's an indication they're ready to leave. Okay? And another one is if they put their feet at a diagonal like this and they lift it up. Again, that's a runner's position. Now, the last thing I want to show you is, what about when someone's standing up? So, when someone's standing up, here's what you have to pay attention to. And actually, let me point you back down to the feet again. Let's say you and I are talking. You look down at my feet. If my feet are facing you, that means I want to keep talking to you. I like what you're saying. If I start to angle out like this, we point our feet away from things that we're not interested in anymore. This means I'm ready to move this way. Not a good indication. If my feet are both pointed away from you, not a good indication. If I'm talking to you like this and I'm speaking behind me, like if you're dealing with a surgeon and you're trying to sell them and their feet are like this is a hallway and they're talking like this, they don't want to deal with you. Let them go. Now, lastly, what about when people are happy? What do? If someone is comfortable with you, and sometimes you can try doing this with someone you just met and see if you can create some comfort with them, because human beings, we mimic each other sometimes. If they cross their legs like this is an indication that they're relaxing around you. You are a friend, they're comfortable, it's fine. The moment that something is said that they don't like, or let's say someone enters the room that they're uncomfortable with, let's say it's their boss, they'll uncross their feet immediately like this. Okay? If you speak about something that aggravates them, they might even take up more space with their feet, because aside from getting a better center of gravity, like they're about to fight, this is also claiming more territory. Last thing is that, again, as feet defy gravity when we're happy, so you'll end up seeing this, which is when you're talking to someone, you say something that they like, that they're happy about, they'll kind of cock up their foot like this. Something got their attention. So I hope that's been very helpful for you. Go ahead and use it. Try your best to learn from it. And of course, get the book, because it just doesn't end there. There's a lot of complexities when it comes to body language. Starting at the feet and the legs is a great way, but there's a lot that's in between the lines you need to learn how to read. As always, have a wonderful Wednesday. See you next week, and drop a comment below if you have a question. Take care.